Friends, we are very happy to inform you that e-modules are prepared for B.Ed program at Telangana by the School of Education, Osmania University under Pandit Madan Mohan Malaviya National Mission on Teachers and Teaching Scheme MHRD New Delhi. It's indeed our pleasure to share with the teacher educators and the prospective teachers and get maximum benefit out of it. It's a first of its attempt by us. We continue to add many more such lessons to share with you all.
Good morning everybody, my name is Dr. Shrivalli. Today we will be learning about project method and how to use this project method in teaching mathematics. Let's begin with the objectives of this presentation. After going through this presentation, you will be able to understand the project method, you will be able to state the principles involved in the project method for teaching mathematics. You'll be able to explain the steps to be followed in making learners to work on a project. You'll also be able to state the merits and demerits of using project method in mathematics. Project method. Project method is an educational endeavor in which learners solve a practical problem taking few days or few weeks. Projects can be done individually as well as collaboratively with peers. A project method has its origin, American origin, and originated from the essence of pragmatic philosophy. What is pragmatic philosophy? It is based on the practical aspects, which was propagated by Sir John Dewey. What is taught should have a direct relationship with the actual happenings in life is the chief principle behind the project method. This was later developed and practically implemented by Dr. Kilpatrick. The exponents of this method contend that knowledge turns into power only through application. Let's learn the different meanings and definitions given about the project. A project is a plan of action according to the Oxford's Advanced Learners Dictionary. Different educational thinkers have derived to define project in different ways. Here are some of them. According to Kilpatrick, a project is a wholehearted, purposeful activity that is proceeding in a social environment. According to Stevenson, a project is a problematic act that can be carried out to completion in its most natural setting. According to Ballard, a project is a bit of real life that has been imported into the school. I hope these definitions are self-explainable and understood. Now we'll see what are the characteristics of a project based on these definitions. Based on the definitions that we have recently, now let's see the characteristics of a project based on the definitions that we have just discussed. Based on the recent definitions that we have discussed, we can trace out few important characteristics of a project method. It is a purposeful activity. We are doing this with a purpose. We have some intention of doing this project. So that is the reason why it is a purposeful activity. It has specific objectives and it is limited. We cannot plan it in a big way because of the several factors that we take into consideration. It has to be planned very well. It is every bit of it has to be meticulously planned. It is a functional aspect and not a theoretical aspect. Here the learning that is happening is functional, a practical way, not theoretical. It is a core philosophy. Its core philosophy is experience, both self as well as working in the groups. Learning takes place in the real and natural settings. So we are doing the project, when we are doing the project, it is happening in a real environment. This teaching strategy focuses on socializing the learner to achieve cognitive, affective and psychomotor objectives. Now let's see some of the principles that are involved in the project method. The principle of purposefulness, the first one. The project should be purposeful and should have some main objective. The objective should give the enthusiasm and work to the learners, otherwise that will be a waste of time and energy. The second one will be principle of utility. The project should be useful to the learners and the society. It should be of some value to the learners. From a good project, the learners as well as the society may get the benefit. Next, the third principle will be the principle of freedom. The learners should be free to select the topic and execute the work according to their will and wish, their interest, attitude and capacity. The teacher should only be a guide on the side and give guidelines to execute that project. Then comes the fourth principle, the principle of activity. In this means a purposeful activity, so at the end of the project, the learners must be able to gain knowledge through the activity. It is also a demand of principle of learning by doing. So because we are doing in the process of learning, it is the principle of activity. Now the fifth principle is principle of reality. The principle of reality. Project should be real and related to the life situations of the learners and the society. Only then they would be able to complete the project naturally and really. Imaginary problems cannot be taken up for this project. Now the sixth principle will be principle of social development. A good project focuses society needs, social development and usefulness to the society. A single project involves solving the problem of thousands of people or the society. So when we are taking up a project, it should be able to serve the needs of other people in the society. The seventh principle is principle of planning. The learners plan in advance about the project. They find the solutions for how, when, what, where, why. So a good project develops a problem solving capacity and prior planning for execution of the project. Now we'll see, after seeing all these principles, we'll just see what are the steps that we can take in this project method. Project method has the following steps. The first one is creating a situation. In creating the situation, the first step, the teacher creates a proper situation to the learners in the class. He shares the knowledge about the project method, procedure, the steps involved and the uses with the learner. After this, the teacher provides motivation through conversation about the day-to-day activities that are being faced by the learners in the form of some problems. Once the situation is created, it is now selection of the problem. The teacher helps the learners to select a problem and guide them. The learners are having freedom to choose a topic or a problem based on their interest and ability. Before choosing the topic, the principles should be taken into account. So this is very important step where these principles should be taken into consideration. The third one will be planning. The teacher will discuss with the learners about the problem through various angles and will also discuss on the various points. The teacher should create the situation of discussion with the learners as they are allowed to talk freely and openly. After the free expression of the learner's opinion about the problem, the teacher writes down the whole program of action step-wise on the blackboard. The grouping is made by the teacher based on the interest and ability of the learner. So the teacher will do the grouping in this aspect and proper planning will be done in this phase. Then once the planning is done, the selection of the topic, everything at this point, what is required is execution. The learners start their work in this step. They collect the relevant information and data and all the materials that are required in the first go. The teacher should give time to the learners according to their own speed, interest and abilities. If need arises, the teacher may provide necessary guidelines to the learners. The teacher demands the groups to complete the project in the given time. Now, once the execution is taken care of and completed, what is required is evaluation. So the fifth step is evaluation. Here the learners evaluate their tasks. Within the peers they evaluate. At the same time it is also evaluated at the other levels. They determine whether the objectives have been achieved or not. After that they criticize and express their feelings about their task freely. The planning, selecting the task and execution are discussed in the class. All these things are collectively reported by the teacher. After the evaluation phase, what is taken up next is reporting and recording. This will be the last step of the project method in which each and every step of the work are reported. The things are recorded in a certain order in a book form. The record is useful for further use and further reference related to the project. It reveals many ideas about the concerned project. The book formatted report is submitted to the teacher at the end. Now we will try to understand how these steps are being executed, and we will see this project method through the video of 3D trigonometry. After we finish the video, then we will move on to the merits of this method. Now we will see the merits of project method. It is a learner centered method. It's a activity based method. It is all the project is all about, as we have seen in the video just now, it is an activity based method where the learners are actively participating and the guidelines are being given by the teacher, and it is completely a child centered method. The learners involve wholeheartedly in the learning process according to their needs, attitudes, interests and abilities. This method is related to life situations of the learners. So the practical aspects are taken into consideration here, and they are associating this with their real life situations. This method develops the problem solving abilities to the learners. This makes the learners independent and confident. Now that they will be able to do these things confidently, they feel very happy and enthusiastic to work on other projects too. It gives them the real work experience. This helps in the real work experience. It develops the social qualities and synergism in the learner's heart. It develops the responsibility. And realization for the learner's point of view. Now that we have understood these merits, we'll move on to the limitations. This method is, as we have seen, because a lot of planning, execution, thinking about a task is required, there's a lot of time that is being consumed. So it is a time consuming method. It is difficult to complete the prescribed syllabus in a particular time. It is also a very costly method because a lot of material needs to be bought, and other factors also should be taken care of. It is not applicable for lower classes. All the topics cannot be taught through this method. There are some abstract methods which cannot be put into project method. It is not applicable for all schools. It needs so much material for execution. With this, we end our limitations, and there are many more limitations, I think, which you can add over here. Now there are different types of projects. The project types suggested by Kilpatrick we will discuss here. There are 4 types of projects: producer type, consumer type, problem type and drill type. Now coming to the first one, producer type, projects in which learners are asked to do or produce something. Like example is laying out a school garden or setting up some stationery stores in the school. These are all something which they are trying to produce. So these are producer type of projects. Now the second one is consumer type. Projects in which learners are getting the experience and enjoying are called consumer type of projects. Examples are dramatic shows, planning for an excursion. So they are acting as a consumers, the students are acting as a consumers, and they are participating in those projects so that they are well executed. Then problem type, the third one, project in which a solution to a problem is being found out. So this is the third one. It could be a problem, could be even building a house, or it could be laying a road. It could be anything like that, where the children are involved in trying to measure different angles and taking into consideration the different measurements. Now the fourth one will be the drill type. No new activity is undertaken, but an activity once performed is repeated to acquire greater skill. So here in this, we are not taking up a new activity. Instead, whatever has been previously performed is again repeated so that they have a better skill set from the same activity. Teacher's role is very, very important in project method. We have seen the same thing in the video too. The teacher should develop a democratic atmosphere among the learners to facilitate meaningful discussion. So the teacher cannot be partial at this point of time and saying that I will give preference only to a single child or maybe 2-3 children. The teacher should have a democratic atmosphere towards the students. Help learners in planning and allocating allocating activities to each member according to their natural abilities. So as a teacher, the teacher will be aware about the capacities of the students. So accordingly, the teacher can plan activities and distribute based on their abilities. Should be available. The teacher should be available to the students and must be willing to help as and when required. And the teacher should supervise and check whether the project is running as per the given guidelines. Teacher should also encourage the learners at every stage and create confidence in them. This is very, very important, because in the phase of the project, the many students, if they are not given proper guidelines, they get discouraged and they don't tend to show interest, and they are halfway through the project. So the teacher should take such students into confidence and provide them encouragement. Suggest extra resources if needed for successful execution of the project. If time is not permissible, maybe extra time has to be taken, or maybe some more resources are required. So the teacher should arrange for all those extra resources from her extent, so that will help the students in successfully completing the project. The teacher should also do a periodic assessment of the project to see the progress. The teacher should not just give the guidelines at the beginning and then see to it that project is completed. The teacher should be available always and help them periodically so that they complete the project, and the teacher should also assess at every step. Now that we have seen about the project steps, limitations and merits, we'll try to wrap up this session. What we have learned in this presentation is, we have learned what exactly is a project method, what are the different definitions that are being given for a project by different thinkers. We have also learned about the principles of project method, the 7 principles that we have seen just now, and we have seen the steps involved in the project method, and the different types of projects that are being given by Dr. Kilpatrick. We have seen the merits and limitations of the project method and the role a teacher plays in the project method. I hope this is all clear to you. Thank you, one and all.